shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Search for a suspect. Police are investigating after shots were fired at an apartment building in Raleigh. What we're learning about the early morning shooting.
And remaining cautious. New details about the investigation into a death in Edgecombe County. Why officials are warning residents.
And this morning, starting out with a little bit of a dip in humidity. In fact, some of the driest air that we've felt in about 3 weeks. Hold on to that. Intense heat returns. I'll show you when. Coming up.
And because of that dip in humidity, automatic mood booster here on this Wednesday when you step out the door. We thank you for waking up with us. I'm Renee Chu.
I'm Jeff Hogan. It's great to have you along. There really is a difference this morning. You feel it. It's nice. Yeah. Very nice. Well, but we're about to get back on that crazy train this morning. Chris Michaels over there in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now on the muggy meter.
Yeah, definitely. The muggy meter now is not nearly as it's bad in recent weeks. Times have changed and things are looking pretty good for you as you step outside this morning. Early exercise forecast, I'll take it. Temperatures near 70 at 5 a.m. At 7 a.m. By 9 a.m. we're in the mid 70s. Again, just a really nice, tolerable feel to the air and the humidity so far this Wednesday morning. Warm/hot, but not too humid this afternoon. Highs about 88 to 92 degrees. Benson at 90, Sanford at 90, Raleigh at 91. So we take the dry air in and then we drive it out heading into the later part of the week. Eventually, the humidity is going to spike. That's going to lead to more heat advisories, at least likely. We'll show you where they're already in effect and when we could see some of our own. That's coming up in a few minutes.
Breaking news we're following right now. Police are looking for a suspect this morning after shots were fired, sending at least one bullet into an apartment. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey is live at the Raleigh Police Department. Kelsey, what are investigators saying about that shooting?
Yes, Jeff, this morning, officers here at the Raleigh Police Department are working to piece together what happened overnight. The WRAL Breaking News Tracker was first on the scene at Oak City Apartments on Calvary Drive. Raleigh police received a call about shots fired around midnight. They say a person was shooting at the complex from a Food Lion parking lot that's nearby. One of the bullets hit an apartment unit that had at least one person inside, but no one was hurt. So right now we're working to find out if this was an isolated incident, but police are still searching for that shooter. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News. I'm in Raleigh.
More breaking news we're following out of Edgecombe County. We're trying to learn new information about a death investigation just outside of Rocky Mount. WRAL's Ali Kadlubar is in Edgecombe County as we try to find out exactly what happened. Ali, what can you tell us?
Yes, about 5 hours ago, the Edgecombe County Sheriff's Office says deputies were investigating a death. We want to tell you what we know. This is video of Koki Road just outside of Rocky Mount. This is the area deputies were investigating this death. It appears deputies had left the scene when we arrived around 3 a.m. Around 11 last night, the Sheriff's Office asked residents to be cautious of that area. We're working to find out the cause of death, what led to this investigation, if there was any foul play, the identity of the person who died. We still have a lot of questions, and we have reached out to the Sheriff's Office. We're going to keep you guys updated. Reporting in Edgecombe County, Ali Kadlubar, WRAL News.
Chapel Hill police are looking for a 16-year-old considered armed and dangerous. Sean Dunn is wanted in connection with a carjacking in Chapel Hill. Police have not released a photo of him. Investigators believe Dunn is one of three men who stole a car from two people at a gunpoint Saturday. Police have connected the carjacking with an armed robbery that happened last Thursday. He faces several charges, including robbery with a dangerous weapon.
New this morning, Goldsboro police identified one of two suspects at the center of a chase. Police say this happened around 3:30 yesterday afternoon. An officer tried to pull over a car for an expired registration. Police say a passenger in the car fired a gun at the officer and ran off. Police say the driver also took off in the car. Both were eventually arrested. Investigators say the driver, 23-year-old Nayan Lathan, is facing charges, including felony, fleeing to elude arrest. The second suspect has not been identified.
Jordan Lake could be open to visitors as soon as next week as the water level continues to get closer to normal. At the highest point in recent weeks, the lake was about 15 feet above normal. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has been releasing about 14,000 gallons of water per second from the dam for the past week. That is enough to fill an Olympic-sized swimming pool every 6.3 seconds. Debris cleanup is also on the agenda for workers.
The shoreline that you're walking up to is not the normal shoreline area, so there's going to be a lot of underwater hazards and obstructions that you can't see, like small trees, logs, and other things like that.
Park rangers say other dangers on the lake include drop-offs that make it inherently dangerous.
Questions this morning about former Governor Roy Cooper's future plans and whether he will run for U.S. Senate. Cooper is ramping up fundraising efforts. That could be a sign he's gearing up for a run for the seat that Senator Thom Tillis plans to vacate. Our NC Capitol team learned Cooper recently sent a letter to supporters seeking donations. It calls out Republicans in Washington who approved President Donald Trump's big tax and spending bill. Political analysts say that may signal Cooper's intentions to run.
So is it the type of email that you send if you have no further ambition or no interest in generating email lists? Probably not. And the timing of it was pretty salient.
A spokesman for Cooper did not respond to a request for comment. Former Congressman Wiley Nickel is currently the only Democrat seeking the party's nomination for the seat. You can read more about this story at the NC Capitol section of WRAL.com.
Today, Brian Kohberger is headed back to court to receive his sentence. Earlier this month, Kohberger pleaded guilty to burglary and first-degree murder in the deaths of 4 Idaho college students in 2022. The plea agreement spared him the death penalty, but it also offers little insight into a motive. Kohberger will be allowed to speak directly to the court before he is sentenced, which means he could explain why he killed them. He will receive life in prison without parole and forfeits his right to appeal. The families will also be allowed to give impact statements at today's hearing. President Donald Trump announced a trade deal with Japan. U.S. importers will pay 15% reciprocal tariffs on Japanese goods. Importantly for Japan, the 15% rate will also extend to automobiles and car parts. That puts it at an advantage over other major vehicle exporters, which have faced a 25% tariff since April. Japan will also invest $550 billion into the United States. Trump says that the U.S. will receive 90% of the profits on that.
They're top people here, and we worked on it long and hard, and it's a great deal for everybody. I always say it has to be great for everybody. It's a great deal.
Japanese markets hit a one-year high following that news. A surge in the price of automaker shares pushed the Nikkei index 3.7% higher.
Today, the State Department of Public Safety is working to fill vacancies among juvenile care workers. The department is hosting a virtual job fair today. It is for positions in the Division of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention. It says it's looking for people to help supervise, care for, monitor, and support children and teens in the system. The virtual hiring event is from 9 to 4 today.
4:38 right now. The cost of a snake bite. People get bitten by a snake and then hit with unexpected fees. Why the cost is so high and how to protect yourself during this snake season.
And stepping down, the latest high-profile media executive to step away. What led to the decision?
And we'll give you this live look right now. Fenton in Cary, good morning to you. We are tracking the return of near triple-digit temperatures. Meteorologist Chris Michaels explains when heat alerts will be issued again.
From the WRAL Severe Weather Center, North Carolina's most experienced team of meteorologists.
4:42 this morning, we've got the tower lit in blue, a nice clear sky overhead, and it's been so long since I could show you guys a temperature map that looks quite like this all across the board. We're at about 67 to 70 degrees. It's the first time in about a month that we've been this cool. It does feel pretty nice as you're stepping out this morning. As we get closer to midday, temperatures in the mid 80s. We will start to warm things up again with highs today in the low 90s, but the humidity levels are at least going to be tolerable for the time being. However, that's soon to change. Heat advisory is likely going to be issued at some point this weekend when the heat index gets between 104 and 109. We're going to show you how long that level of heat lasts and if there's any sign of another cool down coming up.
We can hope. Chris, thank you.
Right. Hot and humid temperatures can also mean more snakes, and a snake bite can be physically painful, but covering the cost of it can be a pain in its own.
We found anti-venom treatment in our area can be as high as $80,000 for an initial dose. WRAL's Heidi Kirk breaks down the cost and how you can avoid it when snakes are at their most active.
This is a typical day at the Robbins house.
We have two jobs as retired people. We walk dogs and pet dogs.
But one dog walk turned into a trip to the vet after a snake snuck up on Piper.
She was sniffing at the edge of the trail and then jumped back. And a little bit further on, she just sat down and said, "I'm done. We're not walking anymore."
Piper didn't need anti-venom, which her owners are happy about, but they narrowly avoided what could have been a high cost, even for a dog. We checked with 3 Triangle Health Systems about what they charge for anti-venom. WakeMed and UNC Health got back with us. UNC Health charges anywhere from $47,000 to $77,000 for an initial dose of 4 to 6 vials. At WakeMed, each of those doses cost between $12,000 and $13,000, leading to a similar total bill. We asked why the costs are so high. A spokesperson for UNC Health says anti-venom is complicated to make and expensive to store and administer. If you have health insurance, that will often cover it. But if you don't or haven't met your deductible, you may be covering that high cost.
The best way for you to avoid that cost is to avoid being bitten altogether, especially this time of year. You should look out for snakes near wooded areas, near tall grass, and often a body of water.
So far this year, WakeMed and UNC Health combined have treated almost 200 cases. And this time of year, they often see that number climb. Heidi Kirk, WRAL News.
So last year, North Carolina Wildlife reported roughly 90% of the state's venomous snake bites are caused by copperheads. And you'll want to get familiar with what they look like. They have a copper-colored head and a Hershey kiss pattern along their body.
FEMA's urban search and rescue chief has resigned following backlash after the deadly flooding in Texas. Ken Paguric had been with the federal agency for more than a decade. FEMA had been criticized for its response to the flooding disaster earlier this month. CNN reports Paguric told FEMA colleagues there that the delay to people in crisis was the tipping point that led to his departure.
NPR's editor-in-chief and acting chief content officer is stepping down. Edith Chapin's announcement comes just days after Congress voted to strip public broadcasting of $500 million in annual federal funding. While only a small portion of NPR's funding comes from those federal grants, the vote could have seismic effects on many of its member stations. Chapin told NPR's chief executive that she would step down before lawmakers approved the cuts.
An update on a deadly fire at an assisted living facility in Massachusetts says investigators now suspect someone's oxygen machine may have started that fire. 10 people died, more than 30 others were hurt. The fire happened almost 2 weeks ago in Fall River, Massachusetts, a city about 50 miles south of Boston.
The death toll has climbed in the devastating fires across Los Angeles 6 months later. The county medical examiner announced the number of deaths connected to the fire is now 31. This comes after a human body was found in Altadena. No details were given on what led investigators to the discovery. In total, 19 people died in the Eaton fire and 12 in the Palisades fire.
Power's back on for everyone in Enfield now after 4 days in the sweltering heat without air conditioning. They aren't quite through with this all yet, though 2 of their power circuits are tied together, which is something that will need to be changed in the long term. For now, people there are elated. They don't have to go without power in this heat.
Oh, that's good. Most definitely good, because this is my sister-in-law right here, and she was without power. I'm glad she doesn't have to be hot. My niece up there with these babies, she no longer has to be hot. So all I can say is God is good.
Yeah, it got to be a dangerous situation, too, health-wise. Mayor Mondale Robinson says he is talking with state officials to come up with a fix for the aging infrastructure, a system he says is roughly 50 years old.
The Carolina Panthers training camp is getting underway today. Practice starts this morning at 10. WRAL's Chris Lee and Pat Welter will be live from training camp in Charlotte later today on WRAL. It is 4:48, and this is the morning that we've been waiting for. Almost 3 weeks in the making, Chris, right? These low dew points.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's been about 3 weeks since we've seen dew points in the 60s, and that's saying something, right? Temperatures on the left-hand side of the box there, most of us between 64 and 70 degrees. You'll feel the difference as you step outside this morning. Finally, not overly sticky, at least for today. You see the dew points will be in the low to mid 60s. You can't stand to say goodbye to that, but we eventually will have to do so, especially as we get closer to the weekend. We're still going to be pretty hot today. Raleigh at 91, Durham at 90, Fayetteville at 93. But that northeast breeze is at least going to keep the humidity levels from rising too far. Here's our next weather maker, though. High pressure is going to be centered over the central U.S., and the stronger that high pressure is, the typically higher heat you get, because beneath it, the air sinks. When it sinks, it compresses, and when it compresses, it heats up. So we're looking at high temperatures close to 100 degrees each day this weekend. In fact, so much so that there's already heat alerts stretching from Louisiana up to Michigan and Wisconsin. I do think we'll see some heat alerts of our own as we head into the weekend. Not today. The heat index 92. That we can handle. Tomorrow it starts to feel a little uncomfortable, but by Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, peaking between about 105 and 110, that's when we could start to see some of those heat advisories issued here. And especially because of our nighttime lows, there's not really going to be a whole lot of relief from the heat at night heading into the weekend. So for today, 91, tomorrow 93, Friday 96. Saturday and Sunday, we're forecasting highs near 100 degrees, and we could see that continuing into early next week as well. Nighttime lows about 77 to 79. So the AC is going to be working overtime. The only thing to cool us off, guys, just a few isolated storms.
Chris, thank you. Remembering a heavy metal legend, a look at the legacy that Ozzy Osbourne leaves behind. What his family is saying about his death.
Art takes over. Installations are popping up across Orange County for the annual Uproar Festival, where you can find this art and when the festivities kick off.
Music fans around the globe are mourning the death of Ozzy Osbourne. His family says he was surrounded by love in his final moments. Osbourne is best known as the lead singer of the band Black Sabbath. He reunited with them just weeks ago for a farewell show in England. Osbourne's most popular songs include Iron Man, Paranoid, Crazy Train, and No More Tears. In 2020, he revealed he had been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Osbourne's family did not specify a cause of death.
Two very different international films, each with an impressive pedigree, are coming to the U.S. David Daniel has today's Hollywood Minute.
Time to cut you down to size!
He's not exactly your average kid.
The fantasy sequel, Neja 2, is the year's biggest hit, grossing a reported $2.2 billion worldwide, the highest-grossing movie in Chinese history and the highest-grossing non-English film ever. Now the trailer is out for an English-dubbed version headed to U.S. theaters, including IMAX and 3D screenings, beginning August 22nd.
Ukrainian forces have now launched their much-talked-about counter-offensive.
Expected to be the biggest military operation in Europe since World War II.
The Oscar-winning director of 20 Days in Mariupol returns with 2,000 Miles to Andriivka, showing Ukrainian soldiers battling through a heavily fortified forest on a mission to retake a Russian-occupied village. The film won the Best Director prize at Sundance this year. It opens in New York Friday, with more cities to follow, and will air on PBS Frontline this fall. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Part of Joyner Park in Wake Forest is being fumigated for bugs today. Pest control was out at the mule barn and log cabin yesterday to treat it for beetles and other insects. Workers are expected to be back out there today. Signs have been posted and people are encouraged to avoid that area of the park. Orange County is gearing up for Uproar Fest. The annual event shows off 60 pieces of art throughout the county in places like Chapel Hill and Carborough. Some artwork already started going up. Crews will install new pieces every day until August 1st when the festival begins. Once it kicks off, it runs for several weeks. Artists win cash prizes based on voting from experts and people strolling through the displays.
This week at Wake Tech, the students became the teachers and local business owners were the students. Wake Tech students offered the business owners cybersecurity advice as part of a summer boot camp, sharing insight on protecting against cyber threats.
In Orange County, a Chapel Hill skate park will soon undergo renovations. The town plans to replace the ramps at Homestead Park. The current ramps are old and made from wood. The new ones will have concrete. The upgrades coincide with the park's 25th anniversary. The town expects the project to wrap up sometime this fall.
A hotel apology. A North Carolina couple experiencing the Chantal floods say they were turned away. How the chain is responding this morning.
Search for a suspect. Police are investigating after gunshots hit an apartment building in Raleigh. What we're learning about this early morning shooting.
Fake safety gear, that deal you found online for a child car seat or bike helmet, may be a dangerous dud. 5 on Your Side breaks down the counterfeits, and Consumer Reports found them sold on major retailers' websites.